later. It's Malcolm Boyd and it's BBC Hereford and Worcester. It's 9 minutes past 10 on a Tuesday. And where should we start today? Well, we're going to start having a look at your car insurance. Have you noticed the rise in car insurance? How much did yours go up by this year? And how'd you go about getting the best deal? Why do I ask? Well, the average price of car insurance, it's been revealed today, in the UK has broken all records. Drivers can now expect to pay £995 on average, just a fiver short of £1,000. And that's the highest price ever in the UK. And it's according to the price comparison website who did the research, confused.com. Let's bring in Scott Dixon on this. He's great. He's a consumer champion and a motoring disputes expert. Scott, good morning.
Good morning, Malcolm.
It's awfully expensive, isn't it? But why?
Well, the reasons that have been given by insurance companies is the soaring cost of claims. And Admiral Insurance said recently that the average claim for pothole damage is a shade over £3,000, and it was National Pothole Day yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's one component, but also soaring energy costs for businesses, labour, parts, and increased technology on cars. I mean, everything's being used as an excuse, isn't it? You know, but there's no getting away from it. It's becoming increasingly unaffordable for many motorists now to keep their cars on the road.
Well, it is. It's driving people off the road. And do you think they are excuses, these, on the whole?
Well, it's interesting to think, you know, back during COVID and lockdown, when most cars were sat on driveways and parked up, car insurance premiums didn't radically fall, did they? So it always seems to go in the wrong direction for consumers, whether it's petrol prices, car insurance. Everything seems to work against consumers, and it doesn't go the other way, does it?
Doesn't seem to, does it? Now, I'm in my late 50s, and I've got a decent record, a good record, but I'm still paying quite a price. My sons are in their 20s. They're getting really caned. And if you do have an incident, I mean, it could be more or less innocent. But if you have an incident and you're a young driver, you are facing one hell of a bill, I know from experience, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened to me as well, Malcolm. I had 3 no-fault claims within 6 years where other motorists had hit me, and it was not my fault. But I was faced with higher insurance premiums as a result, and that's not fair, is it? But what they say is they rely on algorithms and to gauge the premiums, and it's very opaque. Nobody truly understands how premiums are priced. And the Financial Conduct Authority cited concerns about this in 2019. And the premiums are priced based on algorithms which the industry will not openly unveil for being accused of discrimination. So it's a risk-based approach. And they must think that those that have had more no-fault claims are more likely to have more claims. And it's obviously proven by the data that they rely on.
Well, what happened to the olden days where the older you get and the more no claims bonus you built up, the cheaper it got? And it did go down every year you got a bit older and you had a clean licence.
Yeah, I remember those days myself. I mean, I'm in my 50s as well, Malcolm, and I drive a Nissan Micra. It's a 1.2 litre. Yeah. It's not a flashy car. I paid £3,000 for it back in April 2018. It's a low mileage. It's immaculate. My insurance premium last year was £130, and it went up to £242 on the last renewal. But I was able to reduce it by £36 via top cashback, which it reduces your premium by tracking your purchase through an affiliate link to your insurer, and it gives you cash back once you complete the transaction. So I was able to reduce my premium by 15% by using top cashback. So there are different ways and means that you can actually reduce your car insurance, but you've got to be savvy about it.
Yeah. And these automatic renewals are a little bit of a pest, aren't they? Because they come and you think, oh, well, that's easy enough, it'll just renew. But if you actually go and shop around and look online and go back to your insurer and say, well, I've found it online cheaper, there is a chance that they may match that, isn't there still?
Yeah, and I mean, the top tip really is do not auto-renew and make a diary note to start checking for your renewal codes around about 21 to 23 days before your insurance expires. And that's known as the sweet spot, when you're most likely to get the best price, and use various online comparison sites to do that. And that's the best way, to avoid auto renewals.
And finally, looking ahead into the future, get our crystal balls out, if you like, Scott, and have a look, and we see no sign of it going the other way, do we, yet, sadly?
No, unfortunately not. I mean, it's an upward trajectory. And, I mean, there's a few other top tips that I can give you and your listeners to reduce the premiums that you're paying. So, for example, play around with your job title. And I'm not saying be dishonest, but tweak your job title, maybe from, if you're a barber, to a hairdresser. Be a little bit creative and see if it makes a difference. But honesty is the best policy with insurance policies, as being untruthful can invalidate it. So secure your car, pay your car insurance premiums annually, because if you pay monthly, it'll cost you an extra 20% because it's classed as a loan or finance agreement. If you can't afford to pay it annually, get a 0% credit card and put it on that and set up a direct debit. And maybe think about bundling your home and car insurance policy as well, because you can get discounts for that. For younger drivers, black box car insurance policies work well. Fit a dash cam, limit your mileage, and maybe add a more experienced driver if you are a younger driver, but don't front the more experienced driver. So there's a few different ways that you can look at reducing your premiums.
All good advice, Scott. It's lovely speaking to you. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks, Malcolm.
Scott Dixon, they're a consumer champion and motoring disputes expert. There are ways to get it down, but it seems as if it's rising and rising and rising and rising. No matter how old you are, no matter how good at driving you are, no matter what your no claims bonus is that you've built up. What do you think? Let's hear your experience.